Hello, this is Easy, and 2 years ago, I guess around then, I came up with this idea to make this, it's called ZBrush ZCron UV Resin Slicer, Ultra High Resolution, built into ZBrush. I worked on it about 2 years ago and had to quit because it got very complicated, and I am no programmer whatsoever, and just had to give up. So I'm just going to give this source code out. Or, you know, if you own another software besides ZBrush, you might get an idea. Then, hey, go ahead and use it, because I'd like to see somebody be advanced with this and that knows what they're doing and get it to work. And if you want to like hint around to pick logic and say, hey man, check out this idea, we think it's cool, you know, and you know, put a bug in your ear, whatever. Just don't bug them. But anyway, I did mention to one of the people over at Pick Logics, and I'm not sure they'll do anything with it, but you know, this is a slicer for UV resin printers. Okay, I'm going to give you a brief overview of what this does and the advantage of it is. Okay, first of all, if you don't know what a UV resin slicer is, it's usually a program that slices up images or models up into images. Then then you can print them out on UV resins. Okay, printers. So I was able to test this on a monoprice, okay, when I fully tested this. Now, I'm going to give you the source code. When you try it, don't go think it's going to go working on any printer, because it probably won't. Okay, I use this one. It was a cheap one, and it's actually a good one too. So what I did was I tested it on this one here. And you can see here where I printed it out. I print the Eiffel Tower, and you can see a quarter next to it. It's a little fuzzy in that picture, but you can see right here, I got it real close to it and got a good picture. This whole file size is 558 megabytes, and then you can see the polygons. There's a lot of slicing softwares out there that can't even touch this. All right, and another thing is, a lot of this is different than most slicers. Well, almost every slicer, because I don't think any of the slicers will have something like this. This is all done within ZBrush. That means anything that I can do in ZBrush, I can slice it. You could, you know, it supports low, polygon noise. So, you know, if I have let's say a spear here, and I go into the surface noise, okay, maybe my spear might be, I don't know, let's say 50 polygons or whatever. All right, I had a little noise to it. Now the thing looks like it's got, it looks like it's got a million polygons to it. This will activate the noise and slice it, and the sphere will still be at 50 polygons. Same way with vector displacement maps, and this displacement map here, it will slice it. If you're not familiar with displacement map, I'm not going to go over it. It's basically it's kind of like bump mapping, and you could take a low polygon model and make it look like it's got high subdivisions. Okay, so basically that's kind of how it works. Anything that you can do in ZBrush, this should be able to slice it. And there's all kinds of stuff in ZBrush that you can do. Let's say I think it was a nano mesh, that if you had a plane and you divide it up and it had 500, let's say 500 polygons on it, and you had a ring and you converted them polygons to the ring, you could print out 500 rings just real quick. Of course, that'd be over the limit, I think, for the build plate, but that was basically just an idea, maybe 100, I guess. Rest of the stuff you can just kind of read over. I'm going to try posting you a link to this form here, and you can kind of read it if you want to. It'll be below the video. And I don't like to talk about clicking links below the video, but I've had a lot of people just can't find the links below the video. And if you're watching YouTube, look below the video, and a lot of times you won't see a link. Is because you got to click a button that says show more. Okay, it's limited on text, so if you want to read the whole thing and you can't see the link, you got to click a button that says show more. Let's just say here's the video, and where my cursor's at, and that's called the description. Okay, you will go down here and you'll start reading it and it'll look like a cut off. It's because you got to click another button that says show more. Okay, now with that said, basically if you just want to try this, okay, and just kind of see an idea, and you're familiar with, let's say, UV resin printing, I'll give you an idea how this works. Then this is going to be a two-part video. Okay, I posted a video a while back ago, and I'll try attaching it to this. So basically, I have the Eiffel Tower here. Excuse me. I did not make this tower here, so I don't take no credit for nothing. So basically, what you would do is download the file below the video. Then you'd load it like this. Then you can. There's the source code if you want it. Then you'll see it down here. If you want to make it really simple and just want to see what it does. When you get like this, okay, then you would go to File, Open, then you would select the tower here, okay. This is going to load this tower, what you see right here, alright. Without clicking anything, just to see what it does, just come down here, see this button here that says slice it, click it, alright. That's all you got to do. When it's completely done, and I can't do it now because, man, it will bog me down. One of the problems I was having is my document size is 2560 by 1440. I had an issue about this script running slow, and I don't know how to fix it. But this is the only way it's going to work for that printer that I'm trying to. Another thing is it's using boolean. It's bogging it down. I don't know how to fix it. So basically, load it up, press slice it, and what it's going to do is going to slice this up, and you'll see this in another part of the video. And when it's done, all you got to do, come over here, we'll close all this up. You'll see a folder inside the the zip file that you extracted. It's called Easy Slice. I think there will be about 1,000 images. Then you can see these images that it produced. Okay. These are what your slicing program reads, and it prints them out in layers. Okay, really simple. If you know anything about slicing, as you can see here, probably all looks familiar with you because I think everybody's tried downloading the Eiffel Tower. Just to help out anybody that may have a little problem with the script, and I think I did. Now, this has been 2 years ago, so I'm just going to give you an idea of what I think I did. What I did was I use a slicing program. It's called Creation Workshop. You see a bunch of files in here. You don't need to pay attention to them if you're, let's say new. It's just kind of like these were calibration cubes that I were using. So basically, when I was in Creation Workshop, which is a slicing program, what I would do to calibrate that to ZBrush is I would set, let's say in Creation Workshop, I would set the microns to 30 microns. And I would figure out how many slices would it take at 30 microns, the image it would produce. And once I calculated it, I tried to script that back into this here, and that's how I calibrated 30 microns. Okay, and like I said, this only works for the the printer I'm using, because you got to have the the same height and width of the image, the same pretty much the same specs. And there's a lot of printers that are fairly similar. And like I said, 2560 by 1440 were the image size, and some are different. This is not going to work for a printer that doesn't have this build plate size. Okay, now I'm not 100% sure that you'll see this thing called Easy Fix It. And I think I did two things with this, and I can't remember, so I'm going to give you both ideas. One of the issues I had for this not to work was when I was using Creation Workshop, when it was pumping out the PSDs or whatever, I couldn't figure out why it wasn't, when I was doing it in ZBrush, it wasn't printing them out right. And if I recall right, it was because if I loaded the PSD from Workshop, I think it would say for the first layer it would say layer 0. When I loaded it up from ZBrush, it would say for the first layer, it would just say background. And it would not print out right. If I recall right, there was a naming issue. And also, if that wasn't, if that wasn't the case, I know there was a problem in that area. And if that helps you out, that's great. Another thing I was working on, this could be totally different. This is what we call a droplet in Photoshop. Basically, you drop your images on here and it will convert it. I don't think, and I was working on something, basically, if you can see the images were black and white here. If you drag this image on there, it would invert the image. And when you invert something, everything goes vice versa. So let's say I was doing the demo head and I was trying to print it out. Okay, the head would be facing outwards. Okay, if I inverted it, it would make the demo head face inward like Boolean inside a box. I was working on something like that, so I don't want to go over that part here, but that's what that is. Basically, it was a droplet where you just dropped an image on here, or a set of images, and it did some kind of version to fix something. I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to try attaching this other part of this video that I originally came up with. That way I don't have to point you to the link to that. So basically what I'm saying is you're more than welcome to do anything with it. And like I said, it works with anything. I mean, it's like there would be no slicer like this. And why wouldn't a software like ZBrush would want something like this? Because when you start adding things to software, well, people like it and they want to buy it. And this 3D printing, resin printing, is getting very popular because number one is it's cheap. It used to be expensive. You can buy resin printers cheap. And if you never tried one, you don't know what you're missing. And I highly recommend a resin printer. I tried the filaments, they're okay. Both of these types of printers, from the filament to the resin, it's sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't. It's something, you gotta, if you ain't got a patience for it, then don't mess with it, okay? Because there is a little bit of learning curve. You might get lucky on a bunch of prints, and all of a sudden you'll get something that just doesn't print out right, and you don't. It's usually because you don't know what you're doing or just don't have a lot of experience. It's just kind of trial and error. I got this one to print out on the first time here, so anyway, like I said, I didn't make this tower here. You're more than welcome to download the script. I would like to see somebody to go ahead and I don't know, do something with it. I mean, it's got potential to it. And like I said, this is two-part video, so let me see if I can attach the other part, and then you can watch that part. But anyway, on this part here, we're done, and we're going to the second part. Hello, this is Easy. This is a sneak peek of the ZCron UV Resin Slicer. This is for UV resin printers, okay? This is just a sneak peek, and I'll have something later that you can download this plug-in, but it might be a while because I'm having little problems on certain things. As you're aware of, this is a Eiffel Tower here. A lot of people are using UV resin printers to do this and print them out. This looks really good when it's printed. So what's going to be different about doing this in ZBrush rather than doing this in another slicer? Well, to tell you the truth, if you want ultra high detail, you have to get ultra high detail in the slicer. I mean, that's quite obvious. If you want good quality, you got to get the high quality object in there, and so you can get the high images that come out when it slices it. You'll see like other programs that do slicing, and which they can do this Eiffel Tower. It does a pretty good job of it, but a lot of other objects, little miniatures and stuff like that, they usually have to decimate that a little bit just to get it into the other slicer program so it doesn't bog it down. And when you do that, you lose the quality. With ZBrush, I can pretty much subdivide this tower over, I don't know, 6 or 7 million polygons, and I can slice it in ZBrush. If I take this same Eiffel Tower at that many polygons and put another slicer program,
I haven't found too many of them, but it pretty much locks them up and freezes them. Pretty much you can't slice it. So let's go ahead and go with the step here, and I'll kind of go over this. I loaded up these little buttons down here. This is kind of part of the script. You'll see some icons up here. That has nothing to do with it. Okay, this is something that was loaded on my UI, and I just didn't take it off. So with that said, what I want to do is bottom one is going to be the one I'm going to be focusing on here. Sometimes you got to double click to get this right. This is where I'm going to do all my calibration. When I loaded this file up, I went to File, Open, and it saves all my settings when I saved it. So it saved this little settings right here. So when I press on the Live Boolean, I want to get my base of my first layer, what it's going to be. This is a calibrate here, so for some reason that I didn't have nothing on the screen, I would calibrate it for my first layer to have something on it at least. So when I get there, that's going to be where I'm at. This is going to be my first layer. For this instance, I'm not recommending to do this, but I'm going to scale this down because this will bog down my screen recorder. So when I have it like that and I scale it down, then I go up here to zoom to bring it back up, we'll get something like this. Alright, and give it a little bit more lenient on my screen recorder and not freeze it up. Okay, without the screen recorder it works perfectly. Alright, so we'll press here and wait a few seconds. As you can see, it speeded it up, and it did kind of freeze up a little bit there. And we'll press it again to finish. And froze up a little bit there. So if I go to File and press Open, I kind of scaled that quite a bit there, so let's try this here. Front. Turn off the Live Boolean so we can kind of see what we're doing here. Press front again. Then we like this. This is a basic material, but when I press the micron, it will switch over to flat. This is what we want up here, black and white image. That way these images can be put in another zip file or rare files that you can put into your resin printer, and then you can print it out. Alright, so let's try that again. I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom here. It's already calibrated so on my first layer, so I won't scale it so much. We'll just do it right there. We'll do the zoom here. Alright, like I said, I'm not recommending to do that, is because you will, the image is real small actually, and you'll lose a lot of quality. I'm just doing this just for the video's sake here. Alright, that's working a whole lot better there so you can see it. Alright. And I'll show you kind of how this works. Alright, it got part way through there, so I'll have to press this again. This is part of, I'm trying to work on the script to finish this up so I can go all the way from start to finish without having to re-click this button. Alright, one more time. We'll do it all the way till we just appear black image in the background, then you'll know it's finished. Is finished. Alright, I'll show you how this kind of works. Is it's got this image plane down here, and it's going to move all the way up this tower, and it slices it. It slices it and gives an illusion of one slice because I'm using the Boolean operation. Alright, I'll tip it to the side here a little bit so you can kind of see, and maybe turn on the flat here. Alright. As you can see here, we're using a Boolean operation with this option here, and we're going to deformation, and it's using a Y offset, so when I move this you can kind of see how that's working. Alright, let's go ahead and switch this to the because it's working off the bottom view. So when I use the offset to the negative here, it's actually going up the tower, and this is what's creating the slices. Turn this to different material so we can kind of see here. As you can see right there is the tower, and this is where it stopped the slice at. Alright, I loaded up this cone here, and I'll switch over to basic material here. This one here, the one I'm on right now, this was done with set thickness. Alright, this will make it hollow. So if you want to see how that works, is we'll press on move. We're going to move the image plane up and down so we can kind of see what it's doing. So we'll turn on boolean. Well, actually, I'll just tip it a little here, and you can see right there how that's working. And if it's hard to see with the gizmo in the way, I guess I'll just come over here, go to the bottom, and the way the script is running, we'll just do it this way with deformation, and it's using the offset to the negative, and this is how this works. Now it's going to probably be a little different. Let me Control Z that because I did not press, let's see, the Y. It needs to be in the Y position. So you can see right here. Let's switch this back to the bottom and try that again. Alright, here we go. So the offset's in the Y, and we're going to the negative. Alright, that's how that works. Now this is, we'll use less UV resin because you're just doing the outline. Alright, it'll be hollow. If it's a miniature, you probably don't want to use this because it'll make the model pretty weak and flimsy and probably break. That's just a little demonstration of the hollow, just in case you wanted to use it. If we turn off the hollow and use this one here that we didn't hollow, this will be printed. This will be printed as a solid. So if we bring this here and we go to deformation and do the offset, you can see it like that. So it's doing it in increments real small, and it's taking snapshot pictures of it, and they will be exported as PSDs. So if you want to see that on the tower, we'll take a look at that real quick. I can do this by hand instead of clicking a button. Probably won't freeze up. So let's do this again. So we'll do this one here. Turn off boolean. And sometimes if things get out of whack, you can press the zoom to fit, and this will make everything visible for you. So with that said, if you want to mess with it, like I said, the script's not going to be ready to download right now. This will have to be in the Y, and we'll go to the bottom, turn on boolean, and then we'll go to the offset. And I'll do it real slow, and you can kind of see how that's working. Let go, do that again. Then if we just tip this a little bit, you can kind of see where the plane's at. Alright, so I'll get that to fit on here a little bit better. And we'll boolean back on. Get it like that. We can also move it with a gizmo. When I'm doing miniature prints for small objects, and I want to see some of the detail, the eye sometimes just quite not sees every detail very well, but usually if you see it and it looks good, then I consider that good. But if you want to get picky, you can actually pick up one of these dental oral cameras. They're 6 megapixels. I'm not even promoting none of these, but you can get them low as $25, and they got a little button on these little things here that turns the light on. All you do is put your object, let's say, on a clear white piece of paper, so it has a good background to it, and just click the button. You can do videos, you can do snapshot pics of it, And I'm telling you, this thing will pick out any flaw at all on your models. Actually, if you like stick it on your arm and do a video or a snapshot pic, the hairs are so big it looks like when you're watching a video, it looks like it's going through a forest. I mean, it really magnifies it because it looks like the hairs are like tree stumps. I mean, it's, if you really want to get picky, pick one of these up. You get them for like 25 bucks. They got some ones that are more expensive, but hey, I'm really happy with these little 6 megapixel. They seem to do the job pretty good for that price.